Are you struggling to regain sustainability in your life and create a positive life stance? If so, listen in as courageous women share their empowering struggle of how they came through the trenches to restart and recreate a victorious life worth living. They took their power back. Learn the secrets of how they did it, and you can too. Welcome to the Real Heart Talk podcast and 360 Network for Women. And here's your host, Pamela Duran.
Hello, Real Heart Talk. You are enough listeners. We are happy today to have Cheri Yielle from Long Island in New York, and she is a professional, and she's got some special healing methods that she uses, and I'm going to let her share. So welcome, Cheri.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I am from New York, and I am the therapeutic expressionist. That's what I say to help people understand what I do. I'm the founder of Cheri Tree ENT, aka Under the Cheri Tree, and we bridge the gap between entertainment and mental health. So my background is in music therapy. So coming from a training where we're learning how to use creativity and um, just our voice, our expression to relate and grow and heal and explore with another person. Um, we use storytelling and, just really intentionally creating a certain vibe and supporting a certain type of therapeutic relationship for healing or for some, meaningful benefit. And going out of school with that perspective, I just had a different type of journey looking at my own mental health, looking at therapy and having a great understanding of, wow, there's so many different types of therapies and so many different types of modalities and just work that people have learned and do that help people. And I saw how in mental health there's still so much stigma and shame and really misconceptions. And I saw how in entertainment there's so many amazing elements that are being used, but people who, focus on production or entertainment or singing or songwriting or dancing or performing, they aren't they're doing amazing things and making a difference in people's lives. But I saw that there's all the more potential when you bring some sort of clinical intentionality and discipline and practice to it. And so that's just what I'm passionate about, is using all of these different things that I've learned and connecting with other types of professionals to help people really find the power in expressing themselves authentically, find the power in connecting with your truth and finding support from all these many different modalities and creative mediums and not being afraid to share and to ask for help, because there's many folks like me who are passionate about helping and have learned how to do so. So in my company, I like to say that we have a multi-modal approach to helping people connect with their truth, express it, and figure out how to get as much impact in healing or growing and just having a better quality of life, and being more healthy through that.
Now, Cheri, did you have the or have you been through a mental health problem yourself so that you can connect more with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So during that time while I was in college, and I'll tell you a little bit of the story because it still kind of feels bizarre to say it out loud for me, even though it's been some years. My freshman year, my family found out that my dad was diagnosed with cancer, with leukemia. And my sophomore year, he passed away. And then
Oh,
my junior year, we found out that my mom and her mom was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh,
And thank God, like they're fine. But to be in a program learning how to, help people process their emotions and learning how to be some sort of healing worker and be in a therapist role while going through all that was a lot for an 18 to 22-year-old. And it was tough, but I ended up being diagnosed in my senior year um, through a music psychotherapist. I was diagnosed with PTSD, just through all of that grief and just the trauma of trying to be present and stay engaged with everything and hold all of that, as a young person. I think grief is difficult for anybody. But the panic attacks and all the different things that I was experiencing at that time met that criteria. And so at the same time, I'd experienced a relationship where things were not always safe, and I was violated, and I was carrying trauma from that as well. And so um, I have a lot of appreciation for the work that I do that relates to educating people about boundaries and about consent, because that's something that we don't have a really healthy and full enough understanding about in our society. And
mhm,
so, yeah, and so, those formative, I'd say those were some of my most formative years as an adult. And what's interesting on top of that is studying music therapy at the particular school that I was studying, there was a lot of focus on developmental disabilities and autism and just that side of the work. There's so much that music therapy and that all the creative arts therapies can address, but I got most of my practicing study field work with folks that had autism and Down syndrome and ADHD. And years later, I'm on a journey of understanding my own neurodivergence and understanding my experience from that training and just kind of my experience throughout life
mhm.
through more of a lens of, okay, well, is this autism? Is this ADHD? And I'm just continuing that journey. It's been so helpful and so enlightening um enriching and embodying for me. And so, I think from many different angles, even relating to being a support person or someone, a side character in the lives of those that I care about and their mental health journeys and, you know, my clients and my own. I think just there's a really interesting it's almost like I guess a sort of a kaleidoscope of angles that I'm able to appreciate that work in the process that I think a lot of us are on and just not just soul searching, but also navigating life in a way that is more connected and more intentional and um, gives us some more space to feel whole and find more joy and more meaning.
Yes, I appreciate you sharing that. I know that you're very courageous to be sharing such. Uh, it's still, I can still hear, the pain in your voice, and it's a process. You have to go through all those phases, and then you're here, with your therapy, and you're mixing it with the music and entertainment side to really help people get through, whether it's PSTD. I'm so sorry to hear about your dad. I know that must have been hard, and then your mom, and then you. It's like how we are built to last, But sometimes you wonder just how much can a person take. And I love that you're talking about boundaries and consent, and that you reinforce that through your therapy, because I agree. I think this generation that we're in, we need to bring that to light, and we need to know that it's okay to tell somebody, it's okay to voice whatever's happening to you, whether it's to a friend, to your parent, to, even a counselor, a therapist. So we need to make sure, listeners, if you're out there and you're in a situation, it's okay to tell someone, it's okay to voice those concerns. You're not to be treated in any kind of negative way, because we were made to create, and we were made after the Father, after God, in his own image to create. And he was a creator. He spoke his word and things were created. And I do say that probably on all my shows, but I want people to know that they are valued. They have an assignment, they have a purpose. You have a purpose, Cheri. I'm so happy that you have started this type of therapy through music to help people in a diminished mental health state. So your neurodivisions, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm neurodivergent, meaning that my brain, my thought process, my nervous system is a bit outside of the range that we call neurotypical. And I'm what you would call high masking and with low support needs, meaning that I have, consciously and subconsciously done a lot and continue to do a lot to um, camouflage or like hide the traits that um, would make me seem super different, or would make it hard to understand or connect with me, even if internally I feel not quite understood and not quite connected and can't quite relate to a lot of the things that I'm seeing and hearing. Um, I mask a lot of the traits that, would, how would I say? Um, like
Is this
there's
on like the autism scale, or is this outside that? Is this something different?
So it, I believe I'm very much on the autism spectrum. It's kind of inaccurate even to say, a little or a lot.
Mhm.
It's more so that, I'm autistic, but I I'm high masking. So again, a lot of the traits that someone might attribute to that, I mask. And even that in itself, learning what that means and what that does, it hasn't quite been learning something new. It's just been finally understanding and having an explanation for something that I've always known and always felt and always experienced, but just could never explain and didn't know where it was coming from. And a lot of that journey is realizing for the first time that, like, no, not everybody is experiencing that or thinking of things that way, or practicing things in this way, or runs into these same issues over and over again. And we don't know what we don't know. And so I
Right.
think that's part of why I'm really passionate about us just tearing down the veils in a lot of ways. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed clinician, and I never try to seem as though I am, because that's a different thing from what I do. However, I am a healing worker. I am a therapeutic expressionist, so I'm helping people to reach therapeutic goals, and I do have training and understanding how to hold a therapeutic relationship. So, there's a lot of intimacy and vulnerability. Platonic intimacy is what I'm referring to, but
Yes.
it's intimate nonetheless in what I do. And that's, I think, very common in any therapy office or setting. Even if you think about the gym, like that personal trainer and their client, like that's a real connection. There's real things that they're fighting through together. Um, and so I'm just a big proponent on utilizing human connection to make amazing things happen, because we can do so much when we're able to actually be real with each other, be transparent, be honest, go into, go beyond the surface and help each other with the things that we might not have known, might not have realized, might not have been looking at a certain way. Um, because again, we can't know what we don't know.
Right. And connection is one of our basic human needs. Everyone
Absolutely.
seeks that connection.
Right.
So, when you are reaching out to people, do you have a specific age range, and do you give them a list of things that you can help them with?
So that's a great question. I do a lot more responding to people that reach out to me than I do when it comes to just reaching out to people.
Okay.
It depends on what work I'm focusing on. So one of the things that I didn't mention in full yet, but is the cuddle therapy work. And so I am a cuddlist. I trained with the company Cuddlist, and that's been an incredible addition to my work. And you have to be 18 or older to work with a cuddle therapist. As much as it may be really beneficial for children, I don't know what those who that might be their specialty and what they're already doing. I don't know how they go about it, so I can't speak on work with children because that's an entirely different ballpark in terms of consent and you know boundaries there and parental presence there and whatnot. Like I have no idea what that is and
Mhm.
what credentials that would include, but I work with adults in that capacity, and men, women. I've worked with people in their 20s and you know all the way up. And so um I think what I seek in a client is someone who is ready and wholeheartedly willing to work within the container and the scope that I do, so um whether that's within that platonic structure and really wanting to understand what an honest, open, vulnerable, joyful, explorative space is like in a platonic setting isn't something that everybody's open to or ready for. That might be like, what? I don't need to tell you my business. I don't need to be that close to you unless we're, also engaging in these other ways. And so
Right.
and so I'm really here to meet people where they are, and if what I do is in alignment with something that you're looking to experience more of in your life and bring more of and feed yourself with, then I there's not much that I care about beyond just a mutual openness to something that is within the boundaries that I work in, and that I can support in. If you come to me and I have someone that I think is much more qualified and what they do is much more relevant to what you're looking for, I'm so happy to help make that connection or help research for what's going to actually work with you. Um, but I'm really here to help people who want to express themselves more authentically, want to connect more with their truth. And I mean, there's physical, you know, health benefits that come just from that. There's amazing emotional breakthroughs that can come just from that. Um,
Yes.
and then creatively, like I love working with other creatives who, maybe that writer's block, they just haven't figured out how to overcome that because there's blockage somewhere in them, and they haven't figured out how to break that down, or ease through it. And a lot of times as artists, I think it's such a privilege to be a creative because we get to process things in these other ways, because it's sometimes we can't find the words or the words come after. And
Mhm.
so, I think that's what's really unique, and how I know that I'm in the right space in my life right now and I've kind of chosen the right path is because there's a consistency when it comes to that expression of like, if we're just working with words, we might be missing out. Like I'm able to support people without the need for language per se.
Mhm.
If we're doing these things, but we don't understand how to really build trust and operate in in a flow of consent, which is different from permission. There's so many different nuances that I think I'm hoping to just fill those gaps where I can, because there's people who are doing awesome things, but they may not be utilizing something that would actually make that difference and really open that right floodgate at the right time.
Now, Cheri, I love to say that. Makes me feel like I'm in Paris. Anyways, so for entertainment, are you an actual songwriter, musician? Do you compose your own music for your sessions?
Yeah, so I am a singer-songwriter. I also produce, I play a little bit of guitar and piano. Um, and I do a bit of acting at this point. That's you only really see it when it relates to the music, because I have no time to go on auditions and classes like I wish I did.
Yeah.
But I also create, video content and edit and that fun stuff. And I love to draw, and I hope I get some more time to draw in my life again. But yeah, the a lot of this started from the music, from wanting to get my music out there more and trying to figure out how. And I'm really grateful that it's just become not about just me and, me getting attention and me getting praise or whatever, but more so just building a community of people um, who like music and are looking for something real to connect with and meet others and express themselves um and grow in these ways together. And I get to do that, through my music platform and just expanding it into this space of wellness and exploring and growing together.
It's amazing. I love the innovation. I wanted to ask, do you feel like when you're going through the therapy that it's not only helping your client, but helping you as well?
Are you asking about when I'm working with my clients?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I I think I'm a pretty optimistic person. I'm a pretty positive person. I really like to give a lot of love. And the world otherwise can seem like there's a lot when you turn on the news, And even when I look at my own experiences as a woman, as a
Yeah.
Black person, as a Black woman, there's there's a lot that happens and a lot that is said that I'm I'm gonna use the word disconnection. It feels like a very soft word, but that just gives off nothing but disconnection and hurt and pain. And people are always, I have a lot of people who worry about me and who want me to be safe and be guarded. And I think we use this idea of watching your back and being guarded and being ready um for an attack and different things. And I'm not gonna say that that is not necessary. I would never, I couldn't. But um I'm really, really fortunate that when I'm working with my clients or with the community that we're building, I get so much of a recharge in the fact that people are good, and the fact that we're connected, and the fact that um you know it is empowering and securing and it's very powerful to be vulnerable, to share, to care a lot. Like I think a lot of things, use this idea of apathy as a solution and just not caring, being cold and being uh kind of minding your own business kind of thing. And I
Right.
think that what I get to do is say, well, we're not going to mind our own business. We're not going to um not care. We're not going to skip over. We're not going to protect our truth. We're going to honor it and you find power in it by telling it. We're not going to protect our comfort zones by judging each other, or by dismissing what someone's saying about their experience. Um, and I'm spiritual, but it's also I'm spiritual and I know that God has me in this space, but it's also um, we're also going to dive deeper into our truth and use the faith we have in God and or in each other and the trust and the authenticity that we're learning
Yeah.
in this space to understand it more. Because I think what my neurodivergence has given me is a bit of a stubbornness because there's a lot of things that I won't get without more detail. I need to
Mhm.
ask why. I need to ask so many questions, and sometimes it can really annoy people, or it can come off a certain way. And I really, really try to not make it sound like that, but it's like being that kind of person, I think has shown me how much more we can do with things when we ask those right questions and just
Yes.
understand the things that we might have missed otherwise. And there's so many more opportunities to connect with each other. So I think I kind of went around the world and on a bit of a rant to try to say that in all of these different ways, it's extremely inspiring and it continues to just be like really humbling, but also really empowering to see people do that over and over. Like see
Yeah.
strangers and friends and just to see people wanting to go with it and take the chance and be honest and be vulnerable and share and receive other people and tell their story or really listen, this idea of, well, no one's really going to care about that, no one's really going to like this song, no one's really going to care about these words, no one's really going to care about this story, no one's really going to open their heart up in this cuddle session. And the truth is people want to and need to and are ready and waiting um and do this because it's not just something in my head, and it's extremely healing for me
Right.
to engage with that, to really, just like my clients, alongside them, unlearn things that don't help that and don't support that, and retrain myself to know, like, I don't need to find power in these old ways that don't align with what I believe in. The
And they don't
power.
serve you.
I'm
Exactly.
sorry.
I said they don't serve you.
Exactly. And so, being able to just reaffirm that in my work is very healing in and of itself.
And we are all here to unify, to unify together. There is safety in numbers. And the more that we can connect with people, the more people and our listeners, Cheri took her power back by connecting, by stepping out, by flowing in her purpose. And that's what you need to do as well. Flow in your purpose. What is your purpose? We're here to help you ever how that we can. And I applaud you because this is a very vulnerable, authentic therapy that you have. And I feel that people, as well as yourself, that connect with you, that are your clients, I think this is just an assumption or maybe just something I've gathered from you talking, but it feels like that they want to be able to trust themselves again as well as others, and really dive deep into their own root causes. Those traditional things that we're raised with takes time. Those limiting beliefs it sounds like you peel back the layers with them to get down to the root cause of what may be causing whatever that they're seeing you for, whether it's distrust or they want connection or they don't love themselves or maybe they don't love anybody. It sounds like your program would really help them open up to start peeling back those layers.
Absolutely. And I think so. Thank you for saying that and for saying it that way. It's amazing because when you say trusting yourself, that's something that I am learning more and more every day myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's and I think being in the role, I'm still getting used to talking about what I do because for so long it was like, am I ready? Can I do this? Am I, all of these, I think there's a lot of imposter syndrome with leadership positions and I think leadership roles and even, especially when it comes to working with people so closely, it's like, can I do I trust myself with this person? And it's like, of all the training I can go through and all the support I can get, at the end of the day, I still am human and have my own stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so, being able to really lean into what I'm out here saying and sharing and spreading, it's I have to lean into it. I have to be doing it myself, or else not only can I not actually help anybody do it, but I'm not really believing it and not able to like trust myself to do that. And so I think that's what this past year in my life has been is to kind of I, I realized like any pedestal that I ever somewhat felt like I had and if ever felt like I was on, I feel like all my pedestals have been broken.
Mm-hmm.
And as painful as a lot of that was also extremely liberating because people also are not going to somebody for support because of a pedestal. That's not actually what the trust is built on. And what it means to be present, what it means to um, connect in a real way and at a real time is so much more than that. And, even when it comes to solving problems, like I'm not the problem solver. I think the idea of people are amazing and good and all these things and can do that and flourish in that when in the conditions that allow them to. Um, when people are given a space that they can trust is not going to promote fear or shame or judgment or um, even hold them to a standard or push them in a direction that kind of starts to dictate what they should do. It's very interesting to see the truth kind of reveal itself and people reveal themselves and reveal their own, I don't want to say solutions, because again, to me, it's so much deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
We were, I believe very much that if we understand energy, you know, when we want to feel better, flow more, right? I love that you were talking about flowing in purpose. That's so true. Um, a lot of times it's just creating the environment where the things that are in the way aren't serving you and don't need to be. So they just kind of they just naturally rest because you feel comfortable and safe enough to flow more in your purpose and to explore and ask those right questions. And I love questions. I feel like a lot of what I do is just knowing when to be quiet and receive and knowing when to ask certain questions and knowing how to support and hold space.
Yeah.
Um, right. And I know that you know that from just having, these really meaningful, interesting conversations with your podcast and whatever other work you do, it's just holding space we do so people can thrive, and we're so beautiful. We can be that and do that in a space that allows us to. And so yeah, I forgot the question you asked. I made me just go there,
You're
but yeah.
good. Yeah. Questions are charming. I don't know. A colleague of mine told me that a long time ago, but I always remember it and think about it because that means, you're interested. You want to know more. You want to go deeper. You don't want to just be a surface, person. So I love that you have this connection, therapy, and I know you call it cuddle, but I mean, I feel like you're really connection driven, and that is a good thing. And you are helping people, and I really appreciate your work, and I appreciate you coming on and really talking about it and explaining more about it and just sharing, being vulnerable and courageous and sharing your story too.
Thank you so much for inviting me and for the platform. It's really cool to share, and I appreciate you.
Yes, I appreciate you too, Cheri. Is there any final word you want to say? And then I would love for you to share your contact information where people can find you, your music, and your entertainment therapy. I know therapy expressionist. I'm sorry, I'll say the wrong word. Your therapeutic expressionist information.
Thank you so much. I think I think the last thing that I want to say is who you really are um is not true just because you say it is, and just because you're clinging on to it. And in fact, that the things that you say so much and try to live up to and cling to may be um may be the boxes that you're limiting yourself to, that are keeping you from experiencing the full light spectrum of who you are. And whatever that is, you're going to be, whether you subscribe and cling to it or not. And so, if you're seeing yourself as a certain way, that you do not cuddle or you do not cuddle with professionals, or you do not talk about your feelings in so many ways, and you do not do so with strangers, and in all of these things that you are you have written in permanent marker, under your name. This person does not do this and does not do this because this and this and this. Um, just consider possibly knowing that you are still you, even if you were to challenge or step outside of one of those things. And sometimes it's stepping outside of who we think we are, or who we've been told that we are, where we get to experience who we really are. And if you look at who you were before you started subscribing to certain things, when you were a child, and before someone told you you don't do this and you can't do that, um, there's a pureness that we are when we're kids. And I think a lot of what I do is honoring that inner child. And I feel like I get to play with my inner child gets to play with your inner child all day. And I feel like whether I'm in the studio or in a cuddle therapy session, or in one of my, I call them under the Cheri Tree
Mhm.
events, that's probably when I know that we're doing the work and we're having a great time, is when I forget I'm even a grown up, when I feel like, oh man, we're just kids right now. That's the pure you. And
Yeah.
it doesn't not there's not that much else that really matters. So, you know, feel free to come play with me and listen to my little song and my little dance. And we all have a little song and a little dance. And so freedom can sometimes just begin there. And I just
Yeah.
want to share that.
So where can people connect with you? Do you have a website?
Yeah, the best place to start is underthecheritree.com. Under the Cheri, Cheri tree cheritree.com, and you'll find links to cuddle therapy, my blog, the calendar for the public events, my music, and so there's fun stuff there.
Thank you so much, Cheri, for joining us today. It has definitely been informational, I know, for me and for our listeners. And I just want to leave everyone with this. You could be so much more. So as a man thinketh, as Proverbs 23:7 says, so are you. So if you think you can't or can, you are right. So let's take our power back. Cheri's taking her power back. So let's take our power back and move forward in a positive manner and do something for yourself today. It could be a self-care day. Get a massage, go to the spa, just do something that will make you feel good and connect with others. So thank you all for joining, and I hope you stay tuned for the next episode. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining us today on the 360 Network for Women and Real Heart Talk podcast. We're so happy you could join and hope you stay tuned for the next episode.